how to choose the right size of fan. So if you're thinking, what size of fan do I need for whether you got a factory or a farm, a big building, but not your house. Anywhere but your house, I can help you out. So I just wrote this book, How to Be an Expert in 5 Minutes, and it's all about big fans. So one of the first things we go over in it is just basic simple stuff. Page 6, cold floor problems. When does a fan help if you have cold floors? So I just show you which type of heating systems cold floors and big fans go together with. Just as a quick side note, the hotter the air comes out of the heater, the more likely you need a fan. So it depends if you're trying to push the heat down, whether you're working hard or if you're sitting around. So if you're sitting around, you can go 4 times the fan diameter. So that means if like I'm sitting here working, doing borderline desk work, light assembly, you're 4 times the fan diameter. If you're like busting it, you're like really wrenching, you're nailing prefab sheds together, you can only go 3 times the fan diameter. Now, if this is in the wintertime and all your heat's up at the ceiling and you want to push it down to keep the whole thing mixed because you've got a propane heater that's shooting air out at like 200 degrees and that, or maybe even only 120 degrees, that air goes straight up to the ceiling, right up against your insulation. The thicker your insulation is, the better off you are. But if your insulation is not super thick at the top, you got this, all the heat's up there and you're cold down here, and it's the opposite of what you really want. That's when you could have a fan space on 10 times the diameter spacing because it doesn't take a lot to mix it. Because if you want it mixed, you can go 10 times the diameter. And I made this cool gadget that'll kick them on when the heater starts, so that just runs automatically and keeps your floors the same temperature as the ceiling. One of the other problems, overhead cranes. If it's hot up at the ceiling, but you got like a big overhead crane in here, you've got to get that fan just perfect. And we show you kind of how to size it, but it's really based on what you can do, and we'll make custom stuff for you. Another application, page 13. If you've got a 40 by 60 foot shop, what fan does it take, or how many? Again, it depends how many people are working in there. If you're just working in there by yourself, just a single 16 foot will work just fine, because you'll just move near the fan. Whereas if you got guys working in every corner and they're busting it, you're going to need at least 2 fans to keep air moving in the corners. So it really goes over practical things, how to keep your costs down, because why put 2 fans in if you only need 1? If you got a riding arena, there you can go 80 to 120 feet apart because it's wide open. It goes straight down and the air just travels on and on until you get to an obstruction. And that's basically what the concept we go over in here. With a big fan, you get a lot of air movement until you get a vertical obstruction, which shoves the air up, and then you're done. We just put some fans in at the ambulance station in 5 Pointville, and when we blew down on the floor, the flags hanging on the sidewalls, they started flipping up. So if you got flags hanging around, you can easily see where the air is. So if you've got a single slope barn with a lot of posts, guess what the deciding factor is there? How far apart the posts are. So it's not all just, they go every 50 foot or 100 foot. It's really dependent on what you've got to work with, how many people you've got in there working, and how hard they're working. So now you know the gist of it. The book continues to have, I put a bunch of fun electrical reference things in, so when you're wiring, you have a better idea of what wire size. I love all things electrical, so I put in this really cool thing on how to understand Ohm's law better, because my life revolves around electricity and air movement, and I think everybody ought to know this because in my engineering mind, it's interesting. So it shows you which is pushing and which is pulling. Hey, thank you for watching. Please buy the book on Amazon. If you just search for Fan Expert in 5 Minutes, it'll pull it right up. Leave a review because it's the first book that I put out of this sort, and we're going to do a bunch more helping people understand different fan and ventilation concepts.